Oh, man, I hate Mondays.
Nah, man, it's Tuesday.
Wait. What day is it?
You know what day it is. Tuesday. Brewsday Tuesday.
Oh, fuck yeah! It's time for Brewsday Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar and Six Pack Store. Here's DreZ and Big Nate.
Oh, okay. What did you just do there? Was that
do you
strictly
mean?
your thumb?
Did you? Why? Because you didn't get it?
I do the. I went around.
Oh, I just pop it like this. How do you do it?
Okay. We're gonna learn about opening
Okay, so first things
I
first.
go-
It is Brewsday Tuesday.
like
and-
that.
Oh, so yeah, I just go bloop, and then it makes it more
That
fun.
was way cooler.
If you're watching it on the Facebook Live or the YouTube or whatever, then you know that we are in Studio B, which means we have a special guest. We have, I guess homebrewer, but man, you'd think it's a proper brewery. Well, with the shirts, the custom growlers, the glassware, the koozies from LEWS Brews, LEWS Brews. Sorry, we have Erik Lewis in the house, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for bringing the beer. So, and what do you call these tops? Is this just a pop top? I don't even know.
Grouse bottles, pop tops.
The kind of top you normally see on a growler, but this is like the thinner one. So if you get the glass, I guess the 32-ounce growlers, they usually have this kind of top. But you open it funny. Why do you open it that? I mean, you gotta pop it with the thumbs.
You know, it's been years of drinking, and that's the first time. Like, now it makes sense. I was doing it wrong all this time.
Well, if you want the cool sound, all right. Next round, you'll get it right. Next round, you get it right. But this round, we're doing. We're gonna be pouring. I guess I should ask you, what are we drinking?
So first of all, we've got our, well, I say but my Irish stout I brewed a couple weeks ago. Roasty. Should be very enjoyable.
I'm guessing that's this one. Well, with the color.
Mm-hmm.
Let you pour first.
It does smell nicely. Yeah, let me get that. I need to get a photograph. And
It's all about the gram.
So first things first. I mean, well, honestly, I should ask a lot of questions first. But what's the? All right. I know a lot of people homebrew, and obviously, I guess you've been doing it. I see from the logo, established 2019. So you've been brewing for 5 years. How do you have? And you're all in, man. You got all the glassware and everything. So when did you open your actual proper brewery? Because it seems like you're already halfway there.
Well, I would love to sooner than later, but there's a lot of things that go behind opening up.
A lot of red tape.
A lot of
red
so.
tape. All right. Well,
let's also notice something there. Established 2019, and then 2020 happens. So you got a lot of time to perfect your craft.
Well, that's true.
That's actually true. That's all I did.
That's a good way to look at. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to spend the pandemic, is just brewing some beer, because you can't even go out to the damn store to get some, right? So, all right. Well, let's start from the beginning. So, what spawned you wanting to start brewing, and how did it evolve to what it is now?
I was just looking for a new hobby, and I love beer. I love trying craft beer. Big craft brewery guy. Sitting in my office one day, I said, "Well, let's just try to brew it." I had no idea what the heck I was doing.
So did you start with like one of those little kits, or did you just do some research online, or did you have a friend guide you, or would you self-taught?
YouTube TV.
YouTube. That's right.
YouTube.
You can learn anything from YouTube.
I was going to say, YouTube, I got on, tried to figure out how to do it, ordered a kit online, came in, did it on the stove. It was kind of like, I called it like a Kool-Aid mix at first. You just mix it together, when you're doing the, I do all grain now. So the mixture in the beginning was just put it on the stove and go at it and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I did it, fermented it out, pulled the first couple bottles out. My father-in-law happened to be there when we opened it, and he's like, "Holy cow,
so
this works!"
Right off the bat, it was at least decent. I guess if
Yeah.
it was terrible, you probably just wouldn't have been like, "All right, well, that was a dumb idea." But so your first beer was more than drinkable.
Was drinkable.
Wow.
Let's put it that way. Now, when I started the all grain, I was so excited to do it. YouTube, watched it. Went
a bit more of a learning curve for that one.
went to Roanoke, bought a kit around $70, an all grain kit, brought it home, brewed it up, got anxious. It was the worst thing I've ever done. Biggest $70 mistake I've ever made.
Man, yeah.
So
What did you think? What did you knowing what you know now? What went wrong?
just impatient.
Yeah.
Impatient. You got to give this stuff time. It just doesn't. A lot of folks think you can brew it, drink it next week, and you can't do that. You've got to give it time to mellow out. You've got to give it time to get its flavors and the yeast to do everything. And I'm not the most scientific guy in the world with what I'm doing, but I tell people, if you can read, you can brew, you can do it, and if you screw up, don't give up.
Well,
Go at it again.
You say that, but I mean, when it comes to brewing beer, it's much more like baking than cooking, right? Because you have to follow the recipe. You got to do it right. Otherwise, like with cooking, I'm a good cook, but I'm not a good bake. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can kind of just
100%.
wing it. You can be,
I hate baking, and it's why I don't brew.
Yeah. So, all right. I mean, gosh, I got so many questions. I feel like I interrupted you, Nate. Sorry, I don't even think you've gotten a word in yet today.
No, it's okay. I'm very excited.
All right.
Now, do you bake or brew or cook?
I try to cook. I do enough to survive.
Can you bake?
Can I bake? There again, enough to survive on. I mean,
He focuses on the brew.
I think, like I
That's
said,
what you really need to
That's
survive.
fair. He's the first person I've encountered who's doing this. Who patience is key, and you kind of gotta be crafty with it. I mean, it is craft, but yeah, there's a lot of science involved that I'm not ready to do.
and you got to take good notes, because if you want to make the same thing over and over, if you want to produce the same beer,
It's just like you said, like baking. You have to do it to a T. That's one of the things. I'm not a huge fan of Budweiser and the big boys, but they got it down to a T. I mean, you open a Budweiser here, you open a Budweiser. I mean, it's right on par. So, and that's the thing that can be very difficult, is to recreate it and have it be exactly the same.
and temperatures are tough. Trying to keep, especially homebrewing what I do, it's hard to maintain the same temperature.
So
to get it.
what kind of system do you have set up now? Like where are you at in the stages of the homebrew?
So I just operate off a 3-tiered cooler system which honestly I've got 2 coolers, and then I have my brew pot. So gravity fed, that way. So that's,
how big's your brew pot? How big of batches are you doing?
I've got a 20-gallon, but I just do 5 gallons at a time. I wanted to get a bigger pot just to make sure I was doing everything I needed to do, and you don't want to boil over. You don't want any of that kind of stuff, because that creates a sticky mess on the back end to clean up. So I wanted to go bigger. That way, if I wanted to actually do maybe a 10-gallon one day, I could do that. But 10-gallon beer for a home brewer,
That's a lot.
That's a lot of beer.
So 5 is as big as you've gone. And okay, you started in 2019, obviously baby steps to what you are now. How many different styles of beer have you brewed? Obviously you gave me the stout, you got a lager over there. What sort of different, oh no, we're just doing the stouts now?
Yeah, we
Okay.
we all have stouts.
We all popped a stout. I didn't know you popped both stouts. I thought we were doing stouts and then lager, but so what different how many different styles have you done? Have you done a lot of experiments? Have you tried doing sours and dabbling with the weird stuff? Or are you really sticking to just kind of the basics?
I try to stick to the basics. With the sours, you got to really clean your equipment up if you do a sour beer with the yeast infection and everything.
Because
that
it'll
you
taint it.
create.
You'd have to have, and once you go that route, you probably want to this will be the sour.
I was going to say that's your
This
sour.
is our sour kettle.
sour
Mhm.
bucket. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just the basics right now. I would like to try to test myself a little bit and move to the stranger stuff, if you say. Like, there's all kinds of stuff out there. I think
Yeah.
somebody's creating a new beer every day.
Oh, of course.
So,
of course.
But, I just like the basics. There again, when I started this thing, I just wanted a basic beer. It's like you walk into the grocery store and it blows your mind that there's every flavor, there's everything going on. And it's like, now what happened to just a basic brown ale, or what
Mhm.
happened to the basic blonde? Everything's got to have a flavor now. It's just, which isn't bad, but for me,
It's a lot
just-
of variety. It's
I-
overwhelming.
I just like beer.
What's your go-to if you're out at a bar and I'll have a lager, pilsner, IPA. Like, what's your go-to?
Darker the better for me. I'm a little disappointed when I walk in and they don't have much, but I also get, like, depending on the season, depending on, there's a lot of factors that go into it as well. But even a lot of the craft breweries, the first time I walk in, it could be 90 degrees outside and I'm looking for the stouts, or I'm looking for the browns, or I'm looking for this.
So you're not an IPA guy then?
You know what? Brewing beer, you have to be.
Yeah.
You've kind of got to get into it. Not my favorite. I tried.
It's sort of like the necessary evil kind of a thing.
I
Like
tried
you
a
feel like
little
you have
while.
to?
Yeah, if you're going to brew, you've got to have them.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just like eventually you're going to have to do a sour. You're going to have to do it. So
Do you have plans for a sour? Because that would be awesome.
not right at the moment. There again, when you get
That,
into
that
it,
is a commitment, yeah. Because
it's kind of an expensive hobby. And I laugh. It's like another $100. Oh, there's another $100. There's another $100. And
it adds up,
mhm.
and it can go so fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time,
That's why I
I
no
mean,
longer collect baseball cards.
$100 in the craft beer world, like if you go to a specialty store and you're buying a bunch of craft beer, $100 can go like that, So I'm sure it's probably more rewarding to brew it yourself. And then, like you said, if you're talking equipment wise, then you're reusing it and stuff too. So I want to talk more and ask more questions, but I want more beer. So do you untap these? Are you on Untapped? Do you put your beers on Untapped?
I have been. They kind of shut you off if you're not kind of the big boys.
Really?
They'll let you go for a little bit and then they'll shut you down.
So if I search for, can I search for LEWS Brews, and would that come up as a brewery on my phone in the app?
It may. I haven't checked it for a while. But there again, I know 2020 when we had nothing to do, a buddy that I was speaking about earlier, who's designed everything and made all the logos, he actually set it up for that. And you could check them in. They may still be there.
Okay.
You may be able to go in and check some of the earlier ones.
But you're not putting up, because I know you said you just brewed these like a couple weeks ago. So you haven't like put the Irish Stout up yet, or
No,
anything?
they're not up yet.
So do you bother to name them and stuff?
Some of them I name. I
Yeah.
have one a little bit later, the Salty Salamander, which is my Mexican lager with kind of salt and lime in it.
Okay.
So I have that named. They're tough to name, because I go, when I think of something, I go immediately to the internet.
Oh, and somebody's
got it. And I don't want to be the guy that goes, well, darn, now I'm going to name it after the same. I don't want to even go down that.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, there's so many beers. I mean, there's going to be repetition unless you go the off the wall like Abomination and Burial that just come up with these ridiculous names because that's the only way you can find a unique beer name.
There was a winery in the area that didn't bother naming their wines, and they just did bin number.
Yeah, which sucked. I hate that.
I loved that. See, I thought that was so it was
so hard
you
to
gotta remember the number.
Yeah, it was so hard to remember
But
the numbers.
the way they did their labels, man, once you've done all that work, you don't want to also spend all that time naming it.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the fun, though, isn't it?
And when I got into it, I'm originally from Hurricane, West Virginia. I can say Hurricane around here.
Country roads.
Now, when I lived in North Carolina, people said it's hurricane. We have hurricanes here. But anyway, back to my
Always been Hurricane.
Back to my Hurricane, West Virginia. I could say it, like I said, I can say it around you guys. But when I first started brewing, I was naming beers after my hometown.
Yeah.
So I had an Exit 34 Blonde Ale. I still have it. In rotation.
So
I haven't made it for a while.
That's a cool way to do it, because then it's also, it's about the area where it's. I mean, and I guess I don't know how local you're, if you're using local ingredients and stuff, but I think that's a great way to kind of tie it to what people are drinking, and then it gets people wondering too. If you do end up getting, you make it and some beers might get packaged and traveled, be like, oh, exit 137. Where is that? Maybe I need to go see what's up with that and stuff. So yeah, I feel like that'd be part of the fun, is coming up with names for the beers. So you said the Salty Salamander. Is that the beer that we're drinking in the next segment, or is that the other one that we're drinking right now?
We can drink it right now if you're ready for
Let's
it.
drink it right now. Why not?
I just
I am itching.
happen to have it with me.
Oh, how convenient. So yeah, the reason I was asking about Untapped is because I don't know if you're familiar with our show enough to know, but we like to untap our beers on the free app that you can friend us on there. DreZ Drinks is my handle. We got Big Nate Danger in the house, and I'm assuming you're on Untapped. Do you know what your handle is?
I think it's LEWS Brews.
That makes sense.
I believe so.
All right. Well, we will tag you here shortly. So, you can rate the beers. And I know before we open up the mics, he said he wanted an honest opinion of these beers, honest critique, which rightfully so. I mean, when it comes to, if you're brewing beer, you want constructive criticism to try and improve it, right? So right off the bat, I'll tell you, I'm not a big stout guy. So, I don't have a whole lot of stout knowledge, and I probably can't put into words like, oh, maybe this or that. To me, it tasted like a stout. I mean, it tasted pretty much like a stout does, which, obviously I had a couple this past St. Patty's Day, and, I do like, if it's good, it's good. It went down really easy, so I'd say it's pretty solid. I'm going to give it a 4, which for a stout from me is a pretty good score.
Stouts were my first love with beer. My first beer, of course, was a Bell's Two Hearted, and love that beer. One of my favorites of all time. But stout was kind of one of those numbers for me that really provided the transition segue into being a beer lover. What you've got there is incredibly solid. I really like the it's more, I guess, effervescent would be the word than I expected. So it's not as creamy. It's a 4.5. I would drink that all damn day, be very happy with it. I think it's incredibly solid.
And that's actually the first time I've messed around with an Irish stout as well.
No, it's so good.
That was your first Irish stout?
That was my first Irish stout.
So have you done other stouts then?
I have, and I'll go back to the beginning, going back to my hometown. The next town over was Milton, West Virginia. My dad grew up, folks who know that area, the Mud River runs right through the middle. So I called it the Mud River Stout.
All right. So what do you do differently to make it an Irish stout?
The Irish stout is more of the roasty, more of a roasty coffee. It's really not that bitter.
That's the other thing. Like, when making it, is there any coffee involved in the process at all? Like, that would be a great wake up and drink it beverage, which is probably a terrible way to live your life. But here we are.
It's most of the time, well, not most of the time, it's the roasted grains that you use, the roastiness that you get in the malted grains.
No, it was so good.
I do have another if we run out of that one. So,
well, while you were untapping it, I went ahead and popped the salty salamander, and I can tell you right now, right off the bat, this is much more my flavor. So
it smells like summer.
It does, doesn't it? It's just this is a nice, easy drinker. So tell me a little bit about this beer.
This beer, I brewed it with, it had just a regular 2-row pale malt. I've experimented with it a couple times. I've had, first time I think I brewed it, I used a pound of flake maize. This time I added 2 pounds, which cleared it up. There's not a lot, enough or as much proteins in as you would have with malt. So the corn just kind of clears it up, makes it more of a crisper beer. And then throughout the process, towards the end, I added lime zest, the zest of a lime. You don't want to get the pit of the lime, but you want the lime zest in there, along with sea salt, which you guys let me know, I can't taste the saltiness of it.
Oh, I get that.
Okay.
And I like that. I mean, that's the good thing. I mean, when it comes to lagers, this is, and you mentioned the lime, you can pick up the lime too, because when it comes to, I guess the Coronas are known for you put the lime in it. You also do that with the land sharks and stuff.
Modelo.
It's like you don't even need to. It's already there, which is pretty nice. So you said this was the first time you did it. Is this only the second time?
This is the second version of it.
And so is this your first repeat, or you've done a few other ones?
I've done a couple other ones, but I had to get this one going quick because this goes. I mean, as soon as you put it on tap,
it goes down quick. Yeah. So is this your? Shoot, what was I gonna ask?
Would you call this your flagship?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
It's one of the upper beers that I brew. So I mean, I've gotten a lot of good comments about it, and the folks in the neighborhood really appreciate it when
Yeah.
when the garage doors open and it's a nice sunny day.
Exactly.
They
This
can
is
come in
a
and
nice, warmer, easy drinker. Yeah, it's very good. Very good. So you've been brewing for 5 years. It's just a hobby.
just a hobby.
So what do you do for a day job?
So my full-time job, I'm the senior director of equipment services with Virginia Tech.
Okay.
So the athletic department. So all the helmets, shoulder pads, volleyballs, softballs, uniforms. My department, I'll oversee the department that handles ordering, maintaining, laundering, which is always the best part of the deal when people talk about
So
it.
you're my New Jersey hookup then, huh?
That's what I was hearing
Yeah.
too.
You
couple fall off the
we got
truck.
some jerseys, man. I got a couple cool jerseys in my office. I'll have to show you in my office here in a bit, but yeah, that's cool, man. I bet that's a probably fun job.
It's fun and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's always going, especially over in the football
I would ima-
side of
I
it.
would
Those guys
imagine.
go all the time.
Yeah.
But no, it keeps me busy, and I keep rolling back in every morning. And when I finish, as funny as it sounds, I know I've got a nice little keezer of beer and beer taps at home to if I have a bad day, which is not regular, but sometimes it happens. And
Yeah.
you can go home and have you a salty salamander and maybe 2, 3, and make an evening out of it.
It's one of those like grass is always greener on the other side, but like I feel like, and not to diminish what you do and everything you do, but it's got to be working at a butterfly farm. Like, man, these jerseys really pissed me off today. There's no way you're gonna go home and say that, and you're doing something of great value. Like, and bad days, you got it covered.
Yeah, it's like I said, I wear like shorts, polos, t-shirts, pullovers. I don't have to wear a suit and tie every day, which I couldn't see myself doing that.
Likewise.
Ever.
If
Ever.
you're watching on the Facebook Live or the YouTube, you can see how ridiculously dressed Nate is right now. I mean, obviously, we don't have a dress code here at the station.
You can't
Maybe
even
we
see my
should.
shorts. They're like pink. It's horrible.
But no, man, that's a sweet gig, and obviously it's flexible enough that you can make some beer. So do you see? Well, I don't know. Maybe I should say that for the next show. So all right, well, let's go ahead and untap the salty salamander, which is have you been able to measure? Do you know the ABVs of these beers?
So I'm getting better. So this one I'm estimated around 4.6 to 5. Now there's a way to do it, and I do it and I work it out. But sometimes I get the numbers and I'm like, you drink one and you're like, there's no way that's a 4.6, or there's no way that's a 5.
Yeah.
Because usually by the end of that, you're sitting here going, that might have been a 6. we might have screwed up on that, which tends to happen too.
Yeah, fair enough. See, we've done on a Brewsday Tuesday, back in the day, me and Huck had a kind of guess the ABV thing, and we were actually both fairly accurate. If I was a betting man, I'd say that would be about what I would think. I think it's around 5, give or take. Yeah,
4.6 is what I had it measured out at, but I just go 4.6 to 5.
And then what about the stout that we had before this?
The stout was probably a 4.6 to a 5, somewhere along through there, kind of low.
Yep.
I wasn't looking for anything to put you on your, what. But
have you done any of that? Have you tried some big stuff?
I have. I had one. I actually tried messing around with a barrel.
Yeah.
Last January, I brewed a coffee stout.
Where'd you get the barrel?
I just bought a 5-gallon, 5-gallon barrel off the internet, of course.
That's where we buy things.
That's where you
brew
get
the beer.
everything.
That's kind of yeah. That's today's world, huh? But I bought the barrel, brewed the beer, filled the barrel up with bourbon. It was a brand new charred barrel. Filled it up with bourbon, not all the way because that kind of would get a little expensive. And then you lose half of it from the angel share, putting it in there. So then I dumped the bourbon out, put the beer right on top of it. And it's about a 10%. And I didn't even think, I apologize. I'll have to get you guys one of those. I didn't even think to bring it.
How did it turn out?
It turned out really good.
Yeah.
At first it was, I put it in smaller bottles in the 12-ounce bottles at first. I made like a 6-pack so I could try them over the month.
Yeah, I was
every
gonna say
other
because
month.
that would like
And
the
it's-
shelf life. It's supposed to. I mean, in theory, I guess it kind of maybe even gets better with age.
It's gotten better.
Yeah?
It's gotten better. At first it was like you were spitting fire. It was hot. It was
Yeah.
warm.
I have two follow-up questions, both very important. First, what bourbon did you use? Can you say?
I went cheap.
Yeah, you gotta
He's gonna say Evan, and I'm gonna be hurt.
And I actually thought I was going cheap until I started trying to fill up 5 gallons. And
You
even the
realize how much
cheaper
it-
stuff, I was like, I quit at 3 gallons. I'm like,
It's
I can't do
$100.
this.
That's a
I
lot.
can't do this.
Yeah.
But I just use Ancient Age,
All right.
just which is not bad. I mean, yes.
And
Yeah.
did you drink the bourbon after the fact?
I drank some of it, but the barrel is actually filled again. I put the bourbon right back in, and I don't know that I'm going to do another beer in that barrel. I mean, I could, but I think I'm just going to let the bourbon sit and try it in 2 or 3
Yeah,
I
years.
mean,
if
that's
you
not a
keep
bad
reusing
idea,
it, that's
yeah.
not, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would probably do too.
I just wanted to make
reusing it.
sure, because you said you dumped the bourbon, and I was like
No way.
pain
am I-
in my heart.
No way that's going down the drain.
Okay,
No way.
good.
No way.
Just making
Yeah.
sure.
You weren't here for the pre-talk with Erik when he first arrived. Yeah, he ain't wasting any bourbon.
Okay,
All
good.
right, we know this. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and untap the salty salamander, which, as I mentioned, I'm not a big stout guy. This is much more to my liking. I'm more of an IPA guy, but this is a nice, easy drinker. Like you said, a sunny day. I mean, this is a beach beer. If you ever had one, man, you can get the salt, you get the lime. It's very tasty. I thankfully have one more sip to really confirm it. I'm going to give it a 4.5. It would be a little higher if it was a higher ABV, just because I like higher ABV beers, and we were talking about it, and I'm maybe docking you a little bit for not bringing that barrel age, but really when it comes to beers like
I
that,
was just punishing you.
that really is the actual ABV that you want, because if you're going to be in the sun, you want something that's light, you want something that you can drink all day, kind of a thing. So I mean, that's a damn good beer. That should be one that you should brew more than once for sure.
So again, we're hitting a bullet point for me. Lagers are my least favorite style. 100%. That being said, that's damn delicious. I would swap out all the Gatorade in the Hokies locker room with that. It'll get you going. I'm going to go higher than the stout actually on that and give that a 4.75. It's delicious. I think the lime and the sea salt kind of, with lagers, I feel like there's a lot of the time a weird aftertaste, and I think that comes from the barley and the grains, and I think the lime and the sea salt cut that. And damn good beer.
Thank you.
Damn good
Thank you,
beer.
guys.
And thankfully, I think there's more damn good beer for us to try. So here's what we're going to do. We'll step aside. We'll play a song. I always let the guests pick the song. You a rockin' guy?
Let's
What are we doing?
Let's do some kind of Smashing Pumpkins.
Pumpkins.
Let's do pumpkins. Those are my guys.
All right. I do love me some pumpkins. So we'll bust out some pumpkins, and then we'll be smashing some more beers on a Brewsday Tuesday. We got Erik Lewis from LEWS Brews over in Blacksburg in the house. We'll be popping more tops right after this. Stick around.